What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Austin Science Food. I'm Austin. In today's video, we're going to be doing the first critique day of the channel. I just put a Xanthan gum video out, and in that video, I featured a number of TikTokers. All the TikTokers, as far as I'm aware, are just regular people just kind of posting their thoughts online. Because of this, I'm not going to go too hard and kind of just use this as a way to teach the people about Xanthan gum and gums in general. Since these videos are still available online, at least at the time of me posting this video, I still find it important to directly address some of the statements that were made in those videos. Statements like this.
Gums have even been linked to lung problems.
So if you're interested in learning more about Xanthan gum through me talking about these TikTokers, please stick around. So with that being said, it's critique day. Shall we review the notes? So first up we have Shakina Tox. If I butcher your name, my apologies. When I first saw your name, I thought of Shekinah Glory, but yeah, Shakina Tox. I only featured the stomach issues portion of your TikTok during my video because that was proof that the people have reported stomach issues while ingesting large amounts of Xanthan gum. However, the full video has certain points in it that I really want to address. But before I get into that, let me reiterate what Xanthan is. Xanthan is a fiber, and if you eat large amounts of fiber, you can expect gastrointestinal issues. This is very normal. And if Xanthan gum upsets your stomach, then you likely need to eat more fiber or decrease the amount of fiber you're intaking. What's going on is once Xanthan, a soluble fiber, hits your stomach, your gut bacteria begin to ferment it. And a product of fermentation is gas. And that's what can lead to all the issues that people report. This is not a reason to fear Xanthan gum. You can experience the same symptoms of Xanthan gum by eating things like psyllium husk or a lot of broccoli. Fermentation is a natural process. It's what all bacteria do when it comes to things that they can break down. So since Xanthan causes fermentation, does not mean it should cause fear. Now, PSAs, like the ones that Sakina made, are good for the people, right? The people need to know what they're eating and be more aware of it. However, when you use fear to get people to do what you want them to do, that's when I have a little bit of a problem.
Gums have even been linked to lung problems. Lung problems.
The belief that Xanthan gum or all gums in general cause lung problems is fear. You're trying to scare somebody into avoiding the ingredient when it's really not necessary. Xanthan gum is not essential. If you don't want to eat Xanthan gum, you don't have to. There are many other ways to get fiber in your diet. Now, I'm not sure where you got the claim that Xanthan gum causes lung problems. If it does, I would love to see a paper on it, and you can provide that for me, and I will gladly change my tune. The only known gum that has true controversy is carrageenan. Carrageenan is known to be a possible carcinogen due to the fact that it causes cancer in rats. And over the years, carrageenan has been slowly kind of moved out of our foodways, but as far as I know, none of the other gums cause any type of health problems. The reason why carrageenan is so controversial is because of its structure. Fundamentally, it is very different from Xanthan gum, guar gum, locust bean gum, etc. because it has these little sulfur groups attached to it. But I'm not going to get too heavy into the chemistry of carrageenan because that's kind of outside of the scope of this video. But even with carrageenan, the controversy was that it caused ulcers and lesions and things like that in the stomach of animal models. It has nothing to do with lungs. The only way I could see gums causing lung problems is if you are allergic to it and it causes respiratory issues. But that's a very specific symptom, and you would know through your doctor if you're allergic to Xanthan gum, or any gum for that matter. Again, if there's evidence that Xanthan gum or other gums cause lung problems and it's not through being an allergen, drop it down below. I'm very interested in that. Okay, next we have Caleb Coaching. My only gripe with his video was just that, his line of reasoning was just silly in my opinion.
1. Del Monte Fruit Naturals. That sounds great. But the fruit is covered in potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. These are chemicals.
Throughout his video, he laments over food additives such as preservatives and gums and things like that. And I get it, right? If you're not really aware of the chemistry, that stuff can come across as pretty scary. But all that stuff is fine. Like all that stuff is safe. But what I found funny was his line of reasoning that since xanthan gum comes from bacteria, well, then that makes it disgusting.
Xanthan gum is an ingredient extracted from a slime produced from bacteria. What?
I can think of 5 foods that come from bacteria that are absolutely delicious. Let's see if you can name 5 yourself. So first you have kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, and cheese. That's 5 foods that come directly from bacteria and fermentation. And xanthan gum also fits into that category. It comes from bacteria and is a fermentation product. If I were to subscribe to his line of thinking, then that means I have to also consider kimchi, sauerkraut, cheese, yogurt, stuff like that as disgusting, and I should avoid it. You see what I'm saying? Now, I will level with you. Xanthan gum does have a particular texture that not all people like, but most of the time, you don't eat xanthan plain. Like, nobody's eating a scoop of xanthan out of a bowl. Like, that's just not a thing. Or maybe it is. I don't really know. But, straight xanthan coming out of a bowl, yeah, I wouldn't eat it either. I would eat it to be mixed with something. Moving on, the next TikToker that I featured was Erin Wellness. I feel like I'm, a teacher in a classroom calling people out. But yeah, Erin Wellness. So her train of thought, I would say, is legitimate.
People are aware that in the gut, we manufacture our dopamine, our serotonin. It's responsible for a lot of immune responses. Now, xanthan gum, for example, is an ingredient that's been added to a lot of our foods recently. And this study right here is showing that it alters our microbiome. I don't want to consume it and then find out years down the line that, oh wait, it actually makes you chronically depressed or makes you unable to digest whatever key nutrient.
So basically what she's saying is, since we've started eating xanthan gum, it has changed our gut microbiome. And since it's changed our gut microbiome, we need to study that change to see if there's any, adverse health effects. My problem is the end part of her video, she starts talking about like chronic depression and things like that. And that's where I get a little bit, some friction comes along, because what you're doing is kind of muddying the waters and kind of casting doubt, disparaging xanthan gum, which is a safe ingredient. Fortunately, like, she's not claiming to be an expert or anything like that in the field, so the damage will be kind of mitigated. However, them 100 views, 200 views, 300 views that you get on the video do make an impact, and there are people who will watch that video and confirm their bias that, hey, xanthan gum is not safe. So I caution you, just be a little bit more careful when you post these things. But to address the kind of muddying of the waters, kind of disparaging of xanthan as an ingredient, yes, it has changed our microbiome, but that does not mean that larger health effects like depression, things like that, were a result of that change. It's all speculation, and speculation is not reality. If you look at the structure of xanthan gum, you can surmise that analogs of xanthan gum have been digested before. So you wouldn't expect too much of a change just by ingesting more xanthan gum. In other words, there have been other molecules that are similar to xanthan gum in our bodies before, and we've never seen any crazy health effects. So it's safe to assume that xanthan gum would be safe and give similar results. Now, there's no such thing as being 100% confident, and I am open to changing my mind on this matter because I'm just speculating myself. So we'll keep an eye on this over time and see what the research says. But in the meantime, truly there's no reason to be afraid of xanthan. It's just fiber. It's just carbs. Next we have Dan, and he's probably the only person that I really had frustrations with because he's trying to sell something. Dan starts his video off by describing how xanthan gum and guar gum are used in industry. And that right there is poor logic. Just because something is used at the industrial scale, used at very large amounts, does not automatically make it dangerous for us to consume as a food. The easiest example I can come up with would be water. Water is used at the industrial scale, and it is perfectly okay as a food. Matter of fact, it's essential. So if you were to go with his line of reasoning, you'd have to cut out water since it is used in industrial processes, which is just silly. Many of your favorite foods and products have multiple uses, and that does not negate them as perfectly safe foods and products to use. Later on, in about a month or so from now, we'll be talking about corn syrup and going over its many uses, especially in the home kitchen. Spoiler alert, it is not used just to make pies and custards. But anyway, saying bogus stuff like what Dan is saying is a way to manipulate you into buying his products and to position himself as the source of truth or an authority in the matter, when he's not. Typically, when you're in the know, you try not to scare your audience. Typically, but that's neither here nor there. Bonus points to Dan for adding this grunge music to his video to really heighten up the emotion. I'm telling you, avoid things like this and try to check your emotions when you're trying to learn something. Now, Batwing.
I am not one of those it's okay in moderation influencers. If you had bariatric surgery, you have no idea what moderation is. You wouldn't have been obese if you did. Does it look like I know moderation? Have you seen how many tattoos I have?
I gotta give it up to Batwing. I got no hate for her, no nothing for her. The only thing I got for her is that she can be a little mean because she's really going after bariatric patients. But I believe she's talking to a very specific audience, and because of that, I ain't got nothing really to say. I don't really have any experience in bariatric surgery, and I'm not a doctor. But I can imagine that if you are ingesting fibers and have a high fiber diet after a bariatric surgery, that probably is going to lead to some problems. I'm willing to assume. So lastly, we have the TikTok that I ended the video on, and I'm not going to explain the joke, but I thought it was hilarious.
If you are trying to be healthy and lose weight, lose fat, please stop buying this. This is a perfect example of sneaky ingredients hiding in your so-called health foods. And P.S. it has nothing to do with the M&Ms. We obviously know those are not healthy. But the fact that this is advertised as healthy when it has this ingredient in it is mind-blowing. So the sneaky ingredient in here that is holding you back from losing weight, losing fat, and being healthy is xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum is, I'm pretty sure xanthan gum is in the M&Ms because I think currently M&Ms use guar gum, which is, a cousin of xanthan. You can use a 1-for-1. But I guess since people have been rallying against xanthan, M&M switched it up and added guar gum. But it's the same thing, pretty much. Again, xanthan gum is a fiber. Xanthan gum will bind up water, free water. We saw that with the ice cream and Belmonte. That potentially could cause bloating and excess water weight. However, the amount of xanthan in this snack bag is so small that I cannot see it ever doing that. You're at more of a risk for gaining weight by eating these snacks because of how calorically dense this trail mix is. Like, the nuts, the M&Ms, the raisins, things like that. That's more of a risk of you not losing weight than xanthan itself. So anyway, I hope it was funny. Whoever saw that whoever made it to the end and saw the TikTok, I hope you laughed just like me. But yeah, that's all the critiques I have. Again, critique day, the first critique day, real light. The only person who had real smoke with was Dan, and I hope that you don't buy his product. I really do. Maybe he's changed. That came out a couple years ago. Maybe he's changed and he kind of wisened up. If you like the video, be sure to like it, and if you want to see more, subscribe. Hey, what you up to, Austin?